let's put together a sheet where we could possibly use our abbreviations, legends, and notes, you know. And here, the reality is most of these are things that we're not necessarily going to need on our on this particular project, but they're just general things that we could use, okay? And we're not going to try and edit this any, I mean, because there's places where you can see there might be a little housekeeping that needs to be done, but I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire on that. You know, if I wanted you to do it, I should have gave it to you that way. But if you want to go in and adjust some of those things, feel free to do that, okay? So how do we get this onto a sheet? Well, obviously we need to create a sheet. So we go down here and we will go to our sheets and right click and go new sheet, and it's going to default to like 104, but this is going to be a G1 sheet. This is a general information. So we're going to make a G1 sheet. Now that we have a G1 sheet, we can go back here, and it's always good to check the scale first. It's at the 1/4 inch equals a foot, right? I can go back to this sheet and I can drag this on. But before I drag it on, what should I check, people? I should check that what? What about a crop region? Oh, is there a crop region? No, there's not. And this is something I wanted you to see. Plans, elevations, sections, perspectives, they all have crop regions. Annotation sheets like this do not have crop regions because it's basically just generally line work and text. Okay, so we can go ahead and just drag it right over, but it's good for you to know that the boundary you see that you've drawn in is your boundary. So once I pull this in, right, and I get this in here, right, there are my abbreviations, and I can leave that sheet just like that. I'm not going to worry about it. Now, the one thing I am going to do is just click on here, right, and go to edit type and show title. I can say no, right? I don't need that title down there. That's just what this is. This is a general sheet. I'm going to call it general info, right? General information. That's all this sheet is, general information. So now let's make a G2 sheet with something else, okay? Let's go back here again. So if I'm going to go to my sheets, right click and say new sheet, hopefully it'll just go right to what? G2. See that? This is also going to be general information. And now what I'm going to drag on here is a different one. Now I'm probably going to look at what can help me here. What about that typical mounting heights? Look at that. It's got mounting heights for all kinds of things that might go in our project that we don't want to put notes on our drawing for. So this is a very helpful little thing to have on our sheets. Again, it's at a 1/4 inch equals a foot. There's no crop region. We don't have to worry about that. So I can close that, click on here, drag this over, and pull it onto my sheet. There we go. So here's some more general information for us. Now, it might be, you see how it's a little wide in some places. What if I go back to this mounting height sheet and say, hey, you know what? I don't need this line to be that long. Now, I might want to add other things. We're not going to worry about doing that. So maybe I can shorten this some, right? And then I can grab all of these. And with my shift and arrow key, see how I can move those in nice chunks over to the left so that they're closer. And actually, let me go back one step. Okay, that's good right there. And then I can say, hey, I probably want to make these things. Maybe if I bring these down a little bit, they'll be even with the other one right there. See how Revit lets you do that? Okay, great tool. I missed something down here. I'll bring this over. It's all good. Okay, and now when I go back to my G2 sheet, it's a little cleaner, and I could probably even fit some more on there if I wanted to. So I'm good to go with those right now. So now I've got a G1 and a G2 sheet that I can use up in the front of my drawing set for general information. Okay, so we said that part of our goal with this was to maybe try to show a parking area in here and some other things. Let's go to our site plan for a minute and let's look at a few things. If this is our site plan and we wanted to show a road and a parking area, how would we do that? Let's kind of change directions for a while. I think this will help us. So if we go to massing and site and we go to what could we do? We could go to a subregion, right? Defines an area within the topo surface, and we're going to do something simple, right? Let's say we had a road that if I started maybe 5 feet from the edge of here and I drew this line kind of like this here. And remember, these things can be, I don't want to call them complicated, but we got to get it right. And we got to make sure we close these polygons that we draw. So let's offset that, okay? Let's offset this line. Let's see what 20 feet will do. See, that's way too far, right? So if I click right there, what I have to recognize that I have to do is say, hey, that road isn't going to work at 20 feet there, not at all. So what we're going to have to do is, what if we run the road the other direction? Had you thought about that? All right, I just thought about that just now. That's a great idea, right? Let's take and draw one of these lines, maybe 5 feet from the edge here, to the edge of our property line. See, isn't it good we had those property lines in here? Then offset that 20 feet. And now off of here somewhere, we can say, hey, let's have the, let's say we're going to come in right here, right? And there's the middle. That's about the middle. And then let's split that. Let's offset that line. Let's say 10 feet on each side. Let's see what we get. Okay, so maybe not that far. Maybe we just have this be 15 feet. So if I can say I can offset 7'6", how about that? Let's try that. You know, one of the things you'll do in architecture, sometimes you'll do a lot of planning of parking areas, you know, so it's good to get used to it now. Let's split this line, and then let's trim here and here. And then I'm just going to come in here and say trim. And what if I wanted to put a radius in here? How could I do that? Well, if I pull this away just for a second, let's see if it gives me that option. Let's say if I go to trim extend the corner, it's not giving me an option to put a curve in there. So how could I put a curve in there? There's a lot of different ways we can go about this. One way is to do this. If I just grab a start end radius arc and I come 7 feet to here, and maybe I come here to 45 degrees, you know, what if I try and put an arc right there, right? If I put that arc there, that's not kind of going to work exactly how I want it to work, is it? What if I came in here and put a circle? And again, there's numerous ways you can do this, people, but I could try and maybe draw a circle and move that circle up, and then move that same circle back here, right? Maybe that would give me what I'm looking for. What if I do that and pull that to there, and then pull that to there, right? And then if I say split element and I split this, watch what I can do. Can I drag that around? Let's try that one more time. Let's say, I'm sorry, I'm going to hover over that so you can say it's split with a gap. That's kind of what I want to do here. But it's not letting me do that on the circle. I wonder why. Let's try that one more time. I'm going to try and split this again. And now, okay, there's my gap that I want. And I can drag this around to here till it snaps. And then I've got that 7-foot radius. I'll drag that to there, right? And then if I want to just kind of mirror that over, right? Couldn't I just put a temporary line in there and click here and say mirror draw axis, right? And now all I have to do is drag that to there, drag that to there. Now at the end of this, I'm going to have a little error that you're going to see that's going to be a problem. And I want to make the error so that you can not be frustrated when you try to do this. Okay, so once we get up kind of to the front of the building, I might want a walkway or some things like that. But right now, we're just going to worry about our parking area. So what I'm going to do is once you pull in here, I'm going to pull that back to about 25 feet. And these are just some numbers I know that work from my former experience. Okay. And so I've got that part of the road in right now. And what I'm going to do is draw my area where I want there to be um, actual parking. Okay, so let me do something real quick. What if I said my road ended right here? Okay, my road ends here, and this is the first sub-region I'm going to do. First things first, I want to put a category in there. If I'm going to put a category in there, I don't want to put asphalt in there. I'm just going to put lightweight cast in place gray concrete, right? And I'm going to hit OK, right? And then I'm going to say finish. And here's where the mistake is. Remember that lines have to be in closed loops. You got to do that. So I'm going to hit continue, and now I'm going to put a line here. Because remember, I can always edit this sub-region, and we're going to do that in the next video. But now that I've got that in there, I can hit OK. And now, see, I've got my beginnings of my road in here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and we'll pick up in the next video, and we'll finish some of our parking area. We're gonna put some overhead doors in one of these walls down here so that you can actually see, so it actually kind of makes sense why we have a road coming in here. And then we've got to have other walkways, but we don't want to make everything just one sub-region. It's helpful to have multiple sub-regions at times, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video, and we'll pick up in the next one.